So let me open up with a word of prayer. Father, with praise and glory, thank you again for this time that we can study your word and study your Torah. And I pray you give us ears to hear and wisdom to understand. So we give you praise in Yeshua's name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. This Torah portion is Genesis 47:28 through the last part, chapter 50, verse 26. So we end Genesis today, and so we'll start Exodus next week. But I want to start off with, when Jacob went to Egypt, he was 130 years old, and he went there
David?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was wanting to ask you a question, and maybe I should wait for afterward, or tell me if I should. But I wanted your opinion on something.
Okay.
And you might not even care about it. I was wondering, what is your opinion on the new mayor of New York being sworn in on the Koran?
I have no opinion on it, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I mean, this country promotes religious freedom. And so, do we respect that or not? That's the question that, I think we have to ask ourselves.
So that's not idolatry?
Well, if you think it's idolatry, then that's what it is. But if we believe in religious freedom for all, we have to respect that.
Okay.
That's within our Constitution, and that's what we're living under. So, whether the Quran or the Bible or is there that they put their hand on, it still is what's the factor is how are they living their lives?
Okay.
That's going to be the important thing. So that's my quick and concise answer.
No, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Back to Jacob. Was 130 years old when he went into Egypt, when he took his family down there to see Joseph. What is interesting is I want to read verse 27 of chapter 47 first, and let's get a good understanding about that to begin with. So, verse 27, thus Israel settled in the land of Egypt in the region of Goshen. Nothing new there. They acquired property in it, and they were fruitful and multiplied greatly. And I think all the translations read very, very close, to that. Now, what does that mean? We are given that information, I believe, for a specific reason, and that is to see the growth that took place, by the time that they went in. And again, Joseph at the beginning was in charge of running the country, running Egypt. But in Egyptian history, I'm going to bring this up now because it'll come into play next couple of Torah portions. In Egyptian history, these people, now the ones I'm talking about, the children of Jacob, as well as there were other Hebrew-speaking people in the land of Goshen at that time. And the only Hebrew-speaking people that I can think of are the ones that came from Abraham. And so I believe that they were down there also. But the children of Israel, as well as some of the other Hebrew people, I believe, they were enterprising and numerous. They became numerous and began to rule Egypt. And so that's within the Egyptian history. You can look it up, and we'll touch on that a little bit next week. Okay, but eventually, those that were up in the area of Goshen, they were overthrown, and the pharaohs came back into the ruling power and authority. And that's where we're going to start off next week. But just to sort of set up, to expound on verse 27, they acquired property and they became very fruitful and multiplied. Now, that was during their tenure, or the time, before they came to, before Exodus comes into play. All right. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. Now I want to go to chapter 48, verse 3 through 6. This is basically, as Jacob was getting ready to bless or put the blessing upon Ephraim and Manasseh. So verse 3, Jacob said to Joseph, El Shaddai had appeared to me in Luz in the land of Canaan, and he blessed me. And he said to me, Behold, I will make you fruitful and numerous. I will make you a congregation of nations, and I will give this land to your offspring after you as an eternal possession. And so verse 5, and now, your 2 sons who were born to you in the land of Egypt, before my coming to you in Egypt, shall be mine. Ephraim and Manasseh shall be mine like Reuben and Simeon. But progeny, or others that are born to you after these, shall be yours, and they will be included under the name of their brothers, with regard to their inheritance. Now let's just understand that, because this is going to be a major, what I'm going to say, a major key element that the rest of the scripture is going to be based upon, the rest, especially Torah, the raising up of the children of Israel. And in verse 6, now this blessing of Jacob, or the instruction from Jacob about Ephraim and Manasseh, the rest of, now we're not given information that Joseph had any other children.
Right.
But I would assume that he did. But what Jacob is saying here is any other children and their offspring will now fall under Ephraim and Manasseh. They will be among their camps. And we need to understand that, because as we have the terms, and talked about this, I think last week before last, the terms of Joseph, what Joseph and Ephraim and Manasseh really represent, as far as, the totality of the children of Israel minus Judah. Okay, does everybody understand that? Okay. But what Jacob is telling Joseph is, they're going to become very fruitful, and they're going to become very numerous, and they're going to be a congregation of nations, which means,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is he saying that to Manasseh and Ephraim, or to all of them? What you're saying right now?
Well, he is saying it to Joseph.
Yes, about Ephraim and Manasseh.
Right, and what they're going to
Okay.
become.
Okay.
All right. So this is what 48 is about. It's about the descendants, and it's about the genealogy of these 2 boys, Ephraim and Manasseh. And all I'm sort of setting up is that if Joseph had any other children, they're going to be considered to be a part of Ephraim or Manasseh. They're not going to be independent. And we will, we can see that as we go through the Torah, with the genealogy, when that comes up, especially in Numbers. Okay? Any other questions on that?
Yes, I have a question. You said that they will be, that if there's any other children, they will be included with Ephraim and Manasseh, because it doesn't look like that's what it says in 6. So my understanding.
Well, what does your verse 6 read? How does your verse 6 read?
Your offspring, whom you shall bring forth after them, are yours, and let them be called by the name of their brothers in their inheritance. Okay, no, you're right. They're brothers, which is Ephraim and Manasseh.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
because see, that's why everything points to Ephraim and Manasseh. So that's why, that's the focus in chapter 48, is on these two. And at that time they were young men, or even in their teenage years.
They're about 20.
20?
Well, if the plentiful years lasted 7 years, and they were born in the plentiful years, and in the 7 years that came after, that's when Jacob came. They were about 7 years old when Jacob came to Egypt, which would have made them about 24. I did the math last week.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the boys were in their 20s. All right? They were young men.
Amanda gets a gold star, man.
Yes, she gets
Sorry,
the gold star.
I start thinking about that.
Well, no, that's important because,
Well, it's the verse that says that Joseph brought them out from between his legs, and I'm like, wait, they weren't little kids anymore. So why were they between his legs? Because I can just imagine my two monsters standing in front of me going, here, go to your grandpa. So it's just...
Well, okay, that's a good. I mean, let's understand that, because it could have a couple of different interpretations. Come from Well, let's just see here where it says.
That's in verse 12. 48:12, where it says.
Okay, yeah. Now the way mine reads in verse 12, Joseph then removed them from his knees and prostrated himself with his face toward the ground. So what does yours read, Amanda?
Joseph brought them out from between his legs and prostrated himself on the ground.
Okay.
But even on their knees, can you imagine Farkai sitting on your knee?
No.
I mean, Miss Marla has not seen Farkai, but that boy is huge.
Yes.
I would imagine they're.
And he's early.
And he's only 19, so.
Oh, I thought he was in his. I thought he okay.
No.
I mean, yeah. If we take the natural, if we just kind of try to figure in the
I don't
natural,
know.
it gives us a little bit bigger, better picture.
But I think a lot of times that's where, like, the church gets it. When they're teaching the kids this, they show little kids.
Right.
And they're not little kids, they're grown men.
And it's the same as what, when Abraham took Isaac up.
Yeah, he was a grown man.
37 years old, right around that time. So,
Or like when David fought Goliath, he was a grown man. He wasn't a little boy.
right.
Wasn't.
So I mean, just it's good to factor in and figure out, the actual physicalness of what's taking place. And so,
Is that an idiom?
no, I don't think it would be an idiom. What would be an idiom is coming out from off his knees or between his knees.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. That would
Yeah.
be, so brought him from between his knees, that could have a different meaning in their culture?
Well, it means they are his. They're Joseph's. That's one of the meanings.
So is that like him? It's saying he released them?
He was not asked to release them. That's important to understand here.
Okay.
But they were from under his authority.
Okay.
Okay, that's sort of how I would, which would be like an idiom. They were under the authority of Joseph, because what was happening at this time, and what we're going to read here, is Jacob takes them as his own.
Right.
He makes them his own sons, which means now they're out from underneath the authority of Joseph, but they are under the authority of Jacob.
So like he adopted them.
Well, that's exactly the premise. That's exactly the way it is. In
Because
fact,
they usually don't adopt them. People usually don't adopt by taking their child willingly. You know, here, I mean, that's so different. That, you know, what you were just talking about, how he took over authority of his children, and he was still alive.
right.
I mean, he gave authority to them. That's
But there's the biblical reason for that is what we're gonna look at here in chapter 48.
Yes. So I guess that shows just how important the authority of his dad was to him, and so on, in the families.
Right. And so, okay, I was going to go to verse 15 and 16. And this is the blessing upon, well, let me read it. And I think all the scriptures, if I only checked a couple of them, read this way. He blessed Joseph, that being Jacob, and Jacob said, O Yahweh, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked, Yahweh who shepherds me from my inception until this day, may the angel or the messenger who redeems me from all evil bless the lads, and may my name be declared upon them in the names of my forefathers, Abraham and Isaac, and may they proliferate abundantly like fish within the land. All right, I think some of the last verse 16 read a little differently in some of the translations. But again, what Jacob is doing is now he's putting a blessing upon them in the name of Yahweh. Now, I don't remember reading that about Abraham to Isaac, or Isaac to Jacob and Esau. But for some reason, this is what Jacob is doing to these two young men. And not only that, he's putting a blessing of the word of Yahweh, the angelic being who Jacob wrestled with, the physicalness, and this is where I think it was part of what you brought up as we were talking before, Rosemary, where he wrestled with something that was physical. All right, but yet it wasn't. He did not wrestle with flesh and blood. He wrestled with a spiritual entity, being the word of Yahweh. And so we have to understand that this is what Jacob is doing. The one that Jacob wrestled with, may he redeem these lads. But important too to understand is where he says, and may my name be declared upon them, as well as Abraham and Isaac. Now, why is that important? This is something that has been skipped over for many, many years, not really realizing the complete and totality of what Jacob is really saying here. All right? It says, my name. Now, he's not talking about Jacob. May my name Jacob be put upon him. But my name Israel.
Exactly, yeah. His name was changed to the spiritual side, not the
Right.
physical side.
Exactly. The spiritual side, Israel.
Mm-hmm.
But the only boys that have that on them, or the only young men that have that placed upon them, is Ephraim and Manasseh. The rest of the sons did not receive the name Israel. Now, I may be going out on a limb here, but I've come to this conclusion years ago, and I've been teaching this. The ones who come preeminent or prominent within the family is Ephraim, Manasseh. And remember what I just talked about the offspring. If Joseph had other offspring, they would be included within Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay? And so, when the blessing comes, when Jacob does the blessing, I mean, I think we're all familiar with the hands crossing and so forth and so on. Joseph does get a double blessing. And that double blessing goes upon Ephraim. So, I mean, at that point, he becomes the head of the family. The importance falls upon him and upon his name. Now, that doesn't seem like it should happen that way, but when Jacob told Joseph, he says, I'm taking these two as my own. So Ephraim and Manasseh go 1, 2, and then Reuben and all the rest slide down 2 notches. All right. Now, going on to verse 16. And the names, and talking about that, but one of the important key elements is, and may they proliferate abundantly like fish within the land. Now, how does yours read, Amanda?
Mine reads, and may they grow into teeming multitudes on the earth.
All right. Now, the word land in the Hebrew is number 776. Okay? And that can refer to Eretz. It's the word Eretz. It could refer to the land that was given to them, and it also can refer to the whole of the earth. So let's understand this a little bit better. So if they proliferate abundantly, and I like the way mine has it here, like fish, because in the Hebrew idiom, that's what it's talking about. May they become like fish within the land. Now, we've talked about this before, but literally what that is giving indication to is, like fish become abundant within the waters. And so this is what's happening on land with these offspring, with these people, is they're becoming abundant. And they're going to be all over the earth. And that's what it's talking about. So, which is well known, when Yeshua came and gathered his disciples, he said, I will make you fishers of men. So who are they going to be looking for?
Those under Ephraim and Manasseh?
Yeah, the descendants of Ephraim and Manasseh are those who are attached to them, but they would also include
the other tribes.
Minus Judah. They will be of the other flock. When Yeshua mentioned to the Pharisees, I have sheep from another flock that I must gather together. So way back here, that whole scenario of being proliferating, or being in abundance in the world, needed to come to fruition, and then also needed to be sought after. And so, we've talked about this for years, so it shouldn't be, all that shocking to us. Um, and so, but let's go down to, when Joseph came against, 17, 18, Joseph came in, made a statement to his father, says, wait a minute. You're putting you're giving the blessing on the wrong head. And verse 19, it says, however, his father refused, saying, I know, my son, I know he too will become a people, and he too will become great. Yet his younger brother, Ephraim, shall become greater than he, and his offspring will fill the nations. Now, does anybody know what that word nations there is? It's from Hebrew 14:71.
Is it the goyim?
It's the goy.
The goyim, okay.
Which would in plural be goyim, be nations. I'm going to read you something. And this is from the term, or from our Jewish brethren. And it says, while the books of the Hebrew Bible often use goy to describe the Israelites, the latter Jewish writings of the Hellenistic period, approximately 300 BCE to 30 BCE, tended to apply to the term to other nations. And this is where you've heard me talk about our Jewish brethren are the ones who gave this interpretation of goy to refer to the Israelites. And so it goes on, the writing goes on to say, and goy acquired the meaning of someone. Now this is on top of or beyond what I just read, but goy acquired the meaning of someone who is not Jewish in the 1st and 2nd century. Okay, so and then goy became used as to mean non-Jew. And that was, if you remember the history, after Yeshua, this became a real issue among our Jewish brethren. And it's still an issue today. All right, any questions? Okay. Now I want to go to chapter 49. Verse 1. And Jacob called to his sons and said, assemble yourselves, and I will tell you what will befall you in the end of days. Verse 2. Gather yourselves and listen, O sons of Jacob, and listen to Israel, your father. First off, let's understand what end of days is. Is it the end of their lives that he's talking to his sons?
That Jacob's troubles?
Or that could be, what's leading up to Jacob's trouble. I believe it's leading up to Jacob's trouble and a part of Jacob's trouble, which is still ahead of us. We have not gone through that yet. But what's interesting, he's calling these brothers together, he's calling this family together, these sons, but he classifies them as sons of Jacob. That's the flesh.
Yeah.
Now listen to Israel, the spiritual aspect of your father. So he's giving them how they're going to be at the end of times, or at the end of days. Now, I've heard several studies on this from people in chapter 49, on, the characteristics of the tribes. And if you hold a certain characteristic, then you're probably of that tribe. I can sort of understand that. But within many individuals, they have several of these characteristics of the tribes. And so most of them focus on Judah, but what I want to focus on is Joseph. So down to verse 22, chapter 49. Verse 22, chapter 49. The way the Chumash reads is, a charming son is Joseph, a charming son to the eye. Each of the girls climbed heights to gaze. Now let's just understand that.
Wow, yours is so different than mine.
Okay, then read yours, please.
And this is 22, right?
Yes.
Joseph is an offshoot of a fruit-bearing tree. An offshoot of a fruit-bearing tree by a fountain. His branches run over a wall.
Okay. I can see that.
I guess if I looked at yours and was comparing them side by side, I could see it, but it just seems so different that it's okay. Read yours again, please, David.
Well, it does read quite differently. This is euphemistic, the one I'm going to read. A charming son is Joseph, a charming son to the eye. Each of the girls climbed heights to gaze.
Wow. Okay.
How does yours read, Amanda?
And in the complete Jewish Bible, it says Joseph is a fruitful plant by a spring, with branches climbing over the wall. On here, it says Joseph is a wild ass by a spring, wild coats on a hillside.
And that's from the interlinear, basically, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the literal translation. Read that again, Amanda, if you still have it there.
Let me find it. Hold on, I'm right there. Joseph is a wild ass by a spring, colts on a hillside.
Wow.
Yeah, that's different.
That is different. So let's bring those three together.
Okay.
I like that he's wild.
How can we, he's wild. But remember, when he's talking about Joseph, he's talking about his sons, because you don't see the sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, listed in this group that receives a blessing, or receives what they're going to be like at the end of days. So I would, put them within the blessing of Joseph, the Ephraim and Manasseh, as well as the other children of Joseph. So Amanda, read the first part. You still have it there?
Mm-hmm. It says Joseph is a wild ass.
Okay, stop right there. Joseph is a wild ass.
A donkey.
What is it? Well, let's just try to think about it. What is a wild ass?
It's an untamed donkey, isn't it?
Okay, we could say an untamed donkey. Is he free?
If he's
Yes.
wild, yeah.
Yeah, he's wild. If he's wild, he's free. He has no one over him. He has no one controlling him.
Right, because even then he was second under Pharaoh.
Right? But even in the family rankings with Jacob,
He was free to do because his
Yeah.
father would send him to go check on the other 10.
he was free to, to do what he was told to do, but yet, he could make up his own instructions on how that was going to be done. Okay, what's the next part?
A wild ass by a spring.
Okay, by a spring. So what would that mean? What is a spring?
It's flowing water.
Flowing water. What's the Torah?
Water.
Living water.
Living water.
Living water. The words of Yeshua, living water. So he's drinking out of a stream of living water. Interesting. And it's talking about Joseph. It's not talking about the other brothers. He's learning and understanding the words of Yahweh. Think about it that way. All right, what's the next part?
Wild colts on a hillside.
Okay, wild colt on a hillside. A colt is a young, quote, horse. Has anybody seen how a young horse reacts or acts?
Kicks his heels up.
Say that again.
Kicks his heels up.
Right? In what realm, what capacity does he kick his heels up?
In happiness and running free and being, being free.
Exactly. Being free. So you have those three aspects, and two of them are being free.
I'm more puzzled by yours, David, I think.
Huh?
I said I'm more puzzled by yours than anything. The way yours reads with the girls and the whatever.
Well, we could dig into that, especially that each of the girls climbed heights to gaze. What could that mean?
He was nice looking.
Okay.
No, that just seems funny though.
Well, let's factor it in that he's a wild colt. Colt. Colt.
That's a hard one. Colt.
He's a wild
Okay.
colt.
So they're having fun watching him.
Yes.
Over by the spring.
Well, he's free. I mean, it's like there's nothing holding him back. And they're just watching
if
him.
Any of them can tame him.
But it could also, and again, this interpretation comes out of, the rabbis and the sages and things.
Well,
And
this is how I,
Huh?
Mr. D,
Yes.
this is how I interpret it. Instead of putting girls, I would put his two sons climbing heights because they are the ones that are going to be the one on top.
Okay. Very good.
That's how I see it. Instead of being girls would be his sons or the men.
Mm-hmm. The
'Cause
sons of the men of?
Joseph.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to bring out the sons or the men of the other tribes.
Well, could be too.
Yeah.
Like, why would they put girls in there? But I don't know. They're just. It's a euphemism or whatever.
Yes.
I guess I have no idea.
Yeah, I think that, what you just described there, Marla, because in language, within even our language, we put other populations as being sisters. I don't know if you've heard that. I was even thinking, well, just kind of watching the weather reports. Bangor, Maine. It's got a sister city in California, Northern California.
Mm-hmm.
Bangor, California. And that's generally how, when populations spread out, where they came from, they named it that. That's why you have several of the, but they're called sister communities.
Don't they even have that in the church too?
Yes, in the church also.
Yeah.
So I would attribute it to a language thing in a translation.
Okay.
I think even in the military they have other groups that would be the sister of that, that they're,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, also I'm getting, like the two girls, I'm just thinking, one could be Ephraim, because you said he would be the head. And then Judah is the leader, that he leads out. That's all I was thinking of.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, my note says branches, Hebrew daughter, so it's related in some way to branches, so.
It's just, one thing I think that is evident here is the importance of Joseph, and referring to Ephraim and Manasseh being scattered around the world, and they are going to have some freedom that others don't have. They are going to come to a point within the time of history to where they're going to be in charge. They're going to have, like I said, authority. And people are going to be watching. And Amanda's over here shaking her head.
Well, there's different translations on here that I just found. And it's like, there's one that says, where'd it go? A fruitful son is Joseph. And then in parentheses it says, Joseph is a son who will increase. A fruitful son at the well.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, a son who will be blessed like a vine planted by a spring of water. And daughters tread on the wall. 2 tribes will emerge from his sons. They will receive a portion in an inheritance. So that's like one. There's another one that says that the daughters of Egypt were like gazing on him because he was so charming looking. So it's just a different, sorry.
Well,
I'm going into my little world here.
But the daughters of Egypt being representing the whole of the world,
We're looking at
people
him.
are going to be watching Joseph.
Yeah, okay.
And this is why, I've said in the past that the Josephs of the world will become, just as Joseph was in Egypt, the savior of the world. And he'll have freedom. He'll have authority. And people are going to be watching. That's, to some degree, that's, what I'm looking at here, trying to figure out, exactly what this is dwelling with and dealing with. Now, let's continue on. I want to finish off this section. Verse 23. The way mine reads is, they embittered him and became antagonists. The arrow-tongued men hated him. Now, does anybody see that? Now we have to factor that into what we just read in verse 22. They embittered him and became antagonists. So what does that mean? They didn't like what he was doing.
Mine reads different again.
Okay,
Of
read
course
yours.
it would. And the archers have bitterly grieved him, shot at him, and hated him.
Okay. What were they shooting at him?
Looks, bad looks.
Say that again.
Evil looks, bad
Okay.
looks.
And what else?
Accusations, because
Accusations. Words.
There you go, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Now, if you remember anything in Revelation, when Israel is protected, who's shouting or belittling Israel? The anti-Messiah, the beast. So there's going to be people that are not going to, there's going to be a multitude of people who are not going to like what's going on, the authority that has been given or is protecting. I think that's a better way. They're not going to like the authority that's protecting Israel, that's protecting Ephraim and Manasseh. And so they're going to be, throwing accusations and false, bringing false report against these people, but they won't be able to overcome them, and that's what the whole thing with, that Israel was swept up and sent somewhere and being protected. And as I've talked about before, people will know in that day that we have an all-powerful Elohim in Yahweh. And they won't be able to do anything about it. So, as we go on to verse 24, however, the way mine reads, his bow was firmly emplaced on and his arms were gilded from the hands of the mighty power of Jacob. It's sort of just what I had talked about. He was protected. He was elevated. He was lifted up. And it was all done by Yahweh.
It calls it the stone of Israel.
Yeah.
And mine, is that phrase used anywhere else in the?
Yeah, mine says, and from there he shepherded the stone of Israel.
Yeah.
Okay, what would the stone represent?
Well, that's Yahuwah.
Right, but more specifically,
his word.
huh?
The word of
His
Yah.
word.
The word.
Yeah. Word of Yah.
Meaning, in my opinion, since it's at the end of days, at the time of Jacob's trouble, the word was alive within these people.
That one says who by his word.
Huh?
This one translation says who by his word
Okay.
sustained the fathers and sons of the seed of Israel. That was interesting.
Because verse 25 goes on and says, from Yahweh of your father he will help you, and with Shaddai he will bless you. Blessings of heaven from above, blessings of the deep crouching below, blessings of the bosom and the womb. So, to try to, if we take this and apply it to other parts of the scripture, Joseph, number one, Ephraim and Manasseh are going to be protected. They're going to be elevated. They're going to come through whatever struggles are going on. And it's nothing, can stop it. Nothing's going to be able to stop it. See, through the ages, even up to now, I mean, the word of Yahweh is alive and it's real. However, people have been able to come against it and gain victory over it. Well, when this time comes that's being talked about, that won't happen. That won't be able to take place. They won't be able to overcome or overtake the word. The word will come true and come to pass. And the ones who believe in it are going to be the ones that are going to become victorious. Now, verse 26. The blessing of your father surpassed the blessings of my parents to the endless bounds of the world's hills. Let them be upon Joseph's head and upon the head of the exile from his brothers.
Is that Judah?
Well, which one are you talking about? From his
It says they are
from his,
they are on the head of Joseph and on the crown of the head of him who was separated from his brothers.
well, it would be Judah and the others.
Yes, but the one who was separated from his brothers, that would be Judah, right?
No, the one separated from his brothers was Joseph.
Oh, okay.
See, it's tying in. Jacob is tying in what he experienced with Joseph and what his brothers did to Joseph.
Okay.
And it's like I talked about last week when Joseph revealed himself to his brothers. Joseph is yet to be revealed to his brothers today. The Josephs of the world. And that's what needs to take place. And that's what will take place when we get to the end of days, those times. So,
It's interesting that one of these a couple of the translations on here actually say they shall be on Joseph's head, on the crown of him who is a Nazarite among his brothers.
Okay.
That's interesting.
What's all that talking?
I think it's at Rosemary's.
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's when you break things down like this, and you get different translations, I think we get a much better understanding, of how the interpretations have come into being. But I think the simpleness of it, to keep it as simple as possible, Joseph will be elevated, and Joseph will become the keepers of the Torah. Because within the other brothers, they have taken on. Now I need to be careful here. Joseph will become the keeper of the Torah, minus the traditions. Because they're going to be, straightforward, understandable. I'm trying to think of what else I want to say here. And deliberate. And they're not going to be easily deceived. Because that is one of the warnings that Yeshua gave his disciples. Do not be deceived. And if you have the Torah written on your heart and put in your mind, it's going to be hard to deceive you. It should be hard to deceive you, especially if you're practicing, if you're doing what we're supposed to be doing. That's why when we hear, when we read, 26, let them be upon the meaning, the blessings, the understanding in who Yahweh is and understanding his commandments, let them be upon Joseph's head and upon the head of the exile from his brothers. So, how does yours read, Marla? That last part.
I was listening to you. Which one is it again?
That's 26. The last part of 26, the last stanza.
And that's one that we were just doing a minute ago, too. Okay,
Yes.
never mind.
Yeah.
They are on the head of Joseph and on the crown of the head of him who was separated from his brothers. They are on the head. The blessings of your father have excelled the blessings of my ancestors up to the limit of the everlasting hills. They are on the head of Joseph and on the crown of the head of him who was separated from his brothers.
So that's saying that Joseph has a special place. And when we talk about Ephraim and Manasseh, they're the ones that carry the name Israel. The other brothers do not carry that name.
Yeah.
Now that's tough to understand because since the sons of Jacob now becomes, it's understood that they become the sons of Israel.
Right. But they're the sons of Jacob.
But they're the sons of Jacob.
So who are we? Are we Israel or the sons of Jacob?
I would say Israel. Because Israel's the spiritual side. It's what's born from above. Jacob is what's born from below.
Okay, from the earth. From
the earth.
Okay.
Just like Jacob preserved physical life in Egypt, Joseph preserved physical life in Egypt, Joseph, at the end of days, will be preserving spiritual life.
Yes. That's having the Torah.
Uh-huh.
And presenting the Torah in a way that is not adulterated.
Yes. Like you say, without the man-made traditions.
Right. And that's what's that's gonna be difficult. And that's why people are gonna hate them in the days ahead.
Yeah. Well, there are people who don't want to give up their traditions, man. Don't touch those.
Well, and it's gonna be, like I said, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be difficult, but not impossible.
Right.
But I believe that's what Jacob is putting upon Joseph here. He says Joseph is the one that's going to be, you're going to need to look at Joseph. You're going to need to understand what he's trying to present. And because of, when Yeshua made the mention, you need to be born of water and be born from above. Well, Joseph is going to be both. They're going to come from water, meaning they're going to be, human, but yet on the other hand, they're going to be born from above, which means they will carry and, be delivering the Torah and the writings and the prophecies. That's how I'm seeing this. So, any other questions? Any other thoughts?
Only 3 million.
You're so cute, Marla.
Well, I hope we got 1 million down.
Yes, we've got a portion. Yes,
All right.
we do.
All right. Well, I'm going to end it there. So, may the Father just continue to bless us this day, this Shabbat, and give us wisdom and understanding.
Yes.
May you bring us, may you continue to make clear the writing of the Torah that's on our heart and put in our mind. So I praise you and give you glory. And thank you for these. Continue to watch over us and our loved ones in Yeshua's name. Amen.